Hello, welcome to week 1 of this Every Bit Counts challenge for me. I'm Melissa. So we're going to start on our first bundle of corn. This was 5 dozen, and it was the middle of the night. I came home from work at like 3 in the morning, and I thought I'm just going to get this started. So I'm like shucking this into a tote in my living room, and yes, I had to vacuum after this because there was still little hairs all over, but I did end up getting all of it shucked. I did take a break because this is a lot of corn for a single person. I think it took me like an hour is what it felt like, even though I did turn on a movie and watch that while I was doing it. And then I canned this first one. So this was all of the corn cut off of the cobs. I made a huge mess. This stuff went everywhere. I do not blanch my corn. I cut it straight off the cob, cold, not pre-blanched, not cooked, nothing. And then we fill our jars. I only add teaspoon of salt to this, and then you can see I'm filling up the water. And so I'll pressure can this. So this was my first project, but I've filled them up. I use a different water. Not a different water. I use my well water for this. I don't use a distilled or a bottled or anything. We find that the well water works perfectly fine for us. And then we debubble them, gotta debubble, and you can see the water goes down. So then we end up having to put more water in these, but that's perfectly fine and acceptable. All right, my kitchen is in a literal state of chaos everywhere. I need like two ovens when I'm canning. For real, honestly, 2 stoves, whatever you want to call it. So we're canning corn. I tried canning it last night. I put the jars in. I did all my stuff. This is coming up. It was doing the little steamy things. Now we're waiting for it to do a jiggle. I went to the bigger jars this time. But this thing started screaming like it wasn't the lock wasn't engaging, so I was able to undo the lid. Like it was not holding pressure. I don't know what happened. So I had cleaned the whole thing before I put it away. So I took everything out. I took a little screw out of the little thing here. I took the handle off here. There's a little red dot that wasn't working right. So everything's working now. And then we're making, with all the jalapenos, we're doing a bunch of jalapeno poppers. So we're going to do some for dinner. I've got some in there. I've got some mess on my stove. Don't mind that. I'm in the middle of cooking. So we're doing some of the jalapeno poppers I'm going to make with dinner. But every time I get an animal in, I do food that I don't typically make. So jalapeno poppers, because we've got fresh sausage, I'm going for it. So we're going to do pancakes as well. So I've got my can and stuff over here. I did my dishes. I don't use the dishwasher at all. It doesn't work. Hasn't worked in a while. So we're doing dishes. And then I cooked me some bacon because, when you have a fresh pig, you must cook the bacon. We did pork chops last night. So all chaotic. I've got this chaotic mess in my kitchen. My kitchen is tiny. This is my counter space. Clean dishes, canning stuff. And now we're trying to cook on top of that. We're going to do pancakes. This will be cleaned up before the canning stuff gets done because, like I said, it's just now starting to come temperature. Then it's still, when it starts doing its jiggle, I've got the big jars in. So we're going to do the 90 minutes on those. And we'll have plenty of time. But I just wanted to show you the state of the chaos that I am working in. Well, this is my water that I was using for filling jars. And then my water I'm drinking, those are just, everything else is just chaotic state. Crazy. I don't know. Why do I do this? For the health of my family. But why do I do this? So this is the second day of working on corn. I spent the night shucking more, but I didn't think you wanted to see that again. And I am cutting it off the cob again. And this one we're going to freeze. Again, I did not blanch this. I know that a lot of people do. A ton of people do. We have blanched it in the past before we froze it, and we don't care for the flavor of it. But if we just cut it right off and then freeze it, we find that we actually like the flavor of it better. Like it keeps more of its sweetness, in my husband's opinion. And my husband is like a sweet corn snob. Like, we cannot buy sweet corn from the grocery store, even when it's in season, because he doesn't know where it comes from. He says it doesn't taste right. He feels like sometimes they're giving you field corn, which I'm not saying that they're not, because I don't know. So we have 2 families that we buy corn from, and we stick to those 2 families. The one family has been doing sweet corn since I was in elementary school, and the other one is a dairy farming family, and we love their sweet corn. It is really good, but they've only been doing it for about 5 years now. And then what we got today, or not today, what we picked up at auction that we are preserving today and that we pressure canned. So this was 2 days worth. Came from a whole nother farm that we were told good things about. We cooked up the corn. We only bought a dozen of them. It was great. So we're going to stick with that. So we're just going to cut the tops off, cut them in half, like the long way, de-seed them, and then freeze them in these size bags, the quart freezer bags. Quarts, yeah. In bundles of amount of, so we can do jalapeno poppers for the rest of the year. And it's a half a bushel. Now these peppers will actually be done over 2 different days because I do not have the time nor the patience to do a whole half a bushel in one day. It would take me all day, and I don't have that in my time. So today we are only doing about half of the half a bushel, so a quarter of a bushel. And these will all be done, as I said, for the jalapeno poppers. And I just freeze just the peppers and then make the stuffing as I go. And then that was just cutting them in half. I had to stand up because your arms will hurt if you try to sit down when you take all the veiny stuff and all the seeds out. And I do not save any of these seeds because I did not grow them. And I don't know if, they came from an Amish farm. They say they're organic, so I'm going to believe that. But at the same time, I have a ton of seeds in storage, so I don't have the need to save them. And then this is them in their bags. And I sucked as much air out as I could. I do have a one of those things that you take that sucks all the air out, the vacuum sealer. I do have a vacuum sealer. However, I did not find the bags for the vacuum sealer. I thought about cutting the top off of this, but then there just wasn't enough for how many peppers I like to put in a bag. Because when I make stuffed peppers, I usually do it for a crowd. I don't just do it for a 6. But if you like what you're watching, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all the good stuff. And for our next project, I do have to take care of more of these peppers.